Oh, we're on. Evening, folks. Thanks very much for coming in. I hope everybody's well and staying safe. Hello, Nicole. I hope you're well. We're just going to get started straight away. So tonight we're going to be talking about Helen Duncan, one of the last women to get charged under the Witchcraft Act of 1735. She was known as a medium, but also a witch. She was born on the 25th of November in 1897 in Callander in Perthshire, to Archibald McFarlane and Isabel Rafferty. She had a pretty normal childhood until she went to school, where she started to alarm pupils with her what was called dire prophecies, and their behaviour, which caused quite a wee bit of distress to her mum. So this carried on through her teenage years until she left school. So she then went to work at Dundee Royal Infirmary, where she married Henry Duncan in 1916, who was a cabinet maker, and he was also a veteran war hero who supported Helen's paranormal talents, for want of a better word. And Helen, in the meantime, worked in a bleach factory. Hi, Chaos. Thanks for coming in, buddy. I know you've had a long day, but it's good to see you. So Helen Duncan remained happily married from 1916. 1926 came about, and she developed from a clairvoyant to a physical medium and started to give seances. And she claimed that she could make the spirits of the recently deceased materialise through the use of ectoplasm, which seemed to project from her body, basically. So she became quite popular. Also, back in those days, spiritualism seances were still in their early stages. This carried on for 2 years, and then a photographer took an interest in her, a photographer by the name of Harvey Metcalf in 1928, and he started taking photographs of the seances, and also of Duncan as well, and her spirit guide, who she called Peggy. There's Chaos showing the love. As always, Eddie, as always, showing the love. So this guy started to take an interest in Helen's seances, started taking photographs. Helen also claimed she had a spirit guide called Peggy. All through this time, her husband was a big supporter of her, stood by her beliefs, even though they did seem a wee bit extreme. Hi, Sam. Thanks very much for coming in, buddy. I hope you're well. Who else is in? That's it for now. That's it for. We're talking about Helen Duncan tonight, Sam. So he started to take photographs, and he also photographed the alleged materialization of the ectoplasm. The photos revealed the spirits to be frauds. Some of them were dolls made up with cheap sheets, cut out faces, that kind of thing. So this caused a wee bit of an uproar. So in 1931, the London Spiritualist Alliance decided to examine her, and it was observed that ectoplasm originated from the tip of her tongue, and also her nose. And it would start off, and it would look, hi Nubs, thanks for coming in, buddy. It started off looking what was described as a cherry, and then it would swell up. Sometimes it would cover her whole body. Some people were very, wary of this. Some people were very suspicious. A lot of them maintained that it looked like cheesecloth, basically. So their theory was that she had, prior to her seance, she had swallowed cheese, a bit of cheesecloth, which she regurgitated. So then Harry Price, a famous investigator, he took an interest in her. Hi, Mags. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming in, Doc. Oh, and there's Steve. I forgot to mention Steve. Steve 32. He's saying evening, Sarah, but he's saying evening to me. That's nice, isn't it? That's nice. So Harry Price decided to get involved. He was a well-renowned psychic investigator, and he decided to examine Helen. He looked over the photographs and he took her to do a wee bit of research at the laboratory of physical research, basically. And due to the cheesecloth accusation, she was persuaded to swallow a blue methylene tablet. The thinking behind this was that she swallowed it. If she had swallowed cheesecloth, anything she regurgitated would also be would turn blue. So they done a test seance with her. Now there's two different accounts of this. One account is that no ectoplasm was, produced. There are other stories that say there was ectoplasm produced and it was white. So that's, it's kind of 50-50 with that one, whether she did actually produce it. So Price decided that he wasn't happy with this. He decided he wanted to dig deeper. So he obtained a sample of the so-called ectoplasm, and it turned out, it revealed it was egg whites mixed with certain chemicals, and he managed to recreate this substance in his own laboratory. And then he decided he wanted to dig even deeper, so he invited Helen along for further investigation, which involved an x-ray. And Helen refused to be x-rayed. She went nuts. She caused a big scene that she ran out of the hospital, and the scene only ended by her husband grabbing a hold of her and holding her down, basically. So this ended the experiment because it was no longer a controlled environment, and any results found after that were null and void. But you see, Price had managed to recreate the substance. Better say hello to Scott. Thanks very much, Steve. It's always nice to be remembered. Now, Price, in his reports, published photos of Duncan in his lab and proved that the ectoplasm was, in fact, cheesecloth. And I've made notes as well because there was quite a wee bit to remember. So, and they also discovered that some of the apparitions that supposedly appeared at our seances were nothing more than, as I said, sheets with rubber gloves as hands, that kind of thing. And don't forget, this is way back in the 1920s, so everything was still quite primitive then, and people were very open to mediums, to seances. So they didn't have the sophisticated equipment that we have today to sort of rip photographs apart. So people took photographs at face value, pardon the pun. But then what happened was on the 6th of January 1933, she held a seance, and she claimed that during the seance a little girl appeared called Peggy. One of the sitters wasn't convinced of this, so he jumped up and grabbed the figure, and the figure turned out to be, after they turned the lights on, it turned out to be a dummy made up of what they call a stockinette. And I'm not exactly sure what a stockinette is. I'm thinking it's some kind of vest or something. It was a dummy stuffed with whatever substance made out of a stockinette. So this again went against Helen's credibility. So she was arrested for fraudulent mediumship, and she was fined £10 at the Edinburgh Sheriff Court on the 11th of May 1933. Now, people were still claiming during this time that she was a great medium, she was gifted, even though, like I say, Harry Price and all the photographs, everything was contradicting what these people believed. So this shows you who's that. Morning, Andy. Thanks for coming in. I think he's got his time zones a wee bit mixed up, you know what I mean? So this kind of goes to show just how gullible people were back then. Even though they'd all these... Hi, Jillian. Hope you're doing well, Doc. Thanks for coming in. Even though she'd been disproved many, many times, scientifically as well, and through photographs, and Harry Price had managed to reproduce the ectoplasm, people still believed in what she said. So she carried on, doing her thing. Oh, 2 seconds. One of the cats is trying to eat my socks. So Price came to the conclusion, basically, that she was a fraud. Her husband, defended her to the hilt. As she was the last person to be imprisoned under the Witchcraft Act of 1735. Now, because her husband was defending her so much, he was also accused of fraud. But as far as we know, no charges were actually formally brought against him. Then a photographer came along, a guy by the name of Nandu Fodder, and offered Helen money to be photographed by an infrared camera during one of her seances. She just totally refused to do it, even though she'd been offered money to do it. This was another one she just wasn't interested in doing. So this went again, this was a wee bit more evidence to suggest that she wasn't what she seemed. So 1941 rolled on, and she held a seance in which she claimed the spirit of a sailor told her of the sinking of the HMS Barham. Now, nobody had heard, of this happening, so this added a wee bit of credibility to it. But it also made the Navy and the authorities take an interest in her, because they couldn't work out how she knew. It had happened, the ship had sank, but it was kept top secret, basically, so they were she was really done over. She didn't deserve what happened to her, as you say. I forgot to say when we started tonight, everything that we're saying tonight, this isn't our opinion. This is just stuff that we've dug up, and we're just reading, the stuff we've dug up. We're not casting opinions on Helen herself. We're not saying she was real or fake or whatever. I meant to say that when we started. But as I say, she held the seance, and she claimed that a spirit had told her a ship had been sunk. So the Navy took an interest in it, and the authorities took an interest in her. 2 lieutenants attended one of her seances one night, and one of them was told that his recently deceased aunt was behind the curtain and about to appear. And he was also told that his recently deceased sister he was told the same thing about his sister as well. Both his aunt and his sister were still alive, obviously unbeknownst to Helen. It was later discovered that she was actually dressed up. They saw a figure standing behind the curtain, and people later testified that it was actually Helen herself that was dressed up. It's a bit of a mixed up story. There's different accounts here, there's different people's what they seen, what they say that they saw, etc. But as for the Navy couldn't work out how Helen would know about the sinking of this ship. But one theory came about that when the ship sank, the Navy released 861 letters to direct family members telling them of what had happened, but at the same time telling them to keep it quiet. And one theory is that people in these families started talking, word of mouth spread, and this is how Helen picked up the details of the sinking. So that's one theory, but Sarah will take up the story from now.
So, unsurprisingly, everything that she was doing, especially in regards to the ship, obviously, like Scott said, the authorities, it drew the attention of them, basically. So, on the night of January the 19th, in 1944, she was conducting a seance, and it was interrupted when the police raided it, and during which they tried to stop Helen from producing the ectoplasm, and it failed. So once stuff had settled down, and everything went back to normal, Helen was arrested, and so was 3 members of her audience. They were arrested as well.
Hey PG, thanks for coming in, though. I hope you're good.
So Duncan was remanded in custody by the Portsmouth magistrates, and she was originally charged under Section 4 of the Vagrancy Act 1824, under which most charges relating to fortune-telling, astrology and spiritualism were prosecuted by magistrates in the 20th century. This was considered a relatively petty charge, and usually it resulted in a fine if it was proved. But she was eventually tried by the jury at the Old Bailey for contravening Section 4 of the Witchcraft Act of 1735, which carried the heavier potential sentence of imprisonment.
Wasn't it under the Secrets Act? Was that under the Secrets Act, Sarah?
Don't know. I don't have a clue.
I think it would have been under the Secrets Act. I'm not too.
Possibly.
I'm not too sure. So we've been digging around for a day and a half or something on this story. So it possibly was. I would imagine it would be. If anybody else in chat's got, any idea.
You think so?
Actually, I think it was. Where did that go? Where did that go? There is. I think it was a kind of Chinese whispers that grew and grew. Exactly, Max. Yep. One person said it, and then it just kind of snowballed, and that's how word got out about it. Sorry, Sarah, carry on.
That's fine. So, in particular, Helen and the 3 sitters that were arrested were accused of pretending to exercise or use human conjuration that, through the agency of Helen Duncan, spirits of deceased persons should appear to be present. She was also charged under the Larceny Act for taking money by falsely pretending that she was in a position to bring about the appearances of the spirits of a deceased persons. Quite a few words, big words in this one. So the trial caused quite a bit of a media sensation, and it was extensively covered in the newspapers, many of which printed little cartoons of witches on broomsticks. There's nothing on her, that's why they used the witchcraft law. Ah. So at one point of the trial, the defence had announced that Duncan was prepared to demonstrate her abilities in the witness box. This amounted to conducting a séance in the court while in a state of trance, and the offer was refused. So Duncan was found guilty, is charged under the Witchcraft Act and sentenced to 9 months in Holloway prison. She was cleared of the other offences, and she was the last person in Britain to be jailed under the Act, which was repealed. Scott, is that right?
Appealed.
Repealed in 1951, and it was replaced with the Fraudulent Mediums Act following a campaign by a spiritualist and a Member of Parliament, Thomas Brooks.
She was investigated, but she was, for the Society of Cricket Research, she was investigated quite a few times, and Harry Price investigated as well. Now, as I say, we're not saying that she was a fraud. We're not, we're not saying she was real. We're not saying she was fake. We are just saying what we have been, we dug up basically, and what we have read on it. So, as I say, she was examined by Harry Price quite a few times. The thing about being examined by Harry Price was every time she was examined, she always seemed to fail the test, for want of a better word. He, as I say, he took a sample of the supposedly called ectoplasm away with him, and he discovered it was eggs and chemicals that made it up, and he managed to recreate it. So that kind of went against her as well. The fact that she refused to be x-rayed to see if she had swallowed any cheesecloth prior to doing a seance, that didn't sit too well either. So, I mean, all due respect, I think sometimes that she didn't do herself a lot of favours. If she was trying to make, prove herself as, being the real thing, then she just went ahead and says to them, right, examine me whatever way you want, x-ray me, photograph me, I've got nothing to hide. So, but I think her, running out of the hospital when they tried to x-ray her, that it did look, a wee bit dodgy. And then when she swallowed, she was made to swallow, she was asked to swallow the blue tablet prior to a seance, and nothing was produced. During the seance, no ectoplasm was produced. But as I say, there's two different accounts of that. Some say there was white ectoplasm produced, others say there was nothing produced. That's a good point, Max. I was going to cover that, but so was she once Sarah finishes up her what the outcome was with Helen.
So there's two very common misconceptions about Helen's conviction. The first one is that she was the last person in Britain to be convicted of being a witch. In fact, the Witchcraft Act was originally formulated to eradicate the belief in witches, and its introduction meant that from 1735 onwards, an individual could no longer be tried as a witch in England or Scotland. However, they could be fined or imprisoned for having the powers of a witch, basically. There's too many big words in this story, Scott. Too many big words. The second misconception is that she was the last person to be convicted under the Witchcraft Act. Again, this is incorrect, because records show that the last person to be convicted under the Witchcraft Act was a lady called Jane Rebecca York in late 1944. But due to her age, because she was in her 70s, she received a lenient sentence even, and she only received a fine instead of imprisonment. And additionally, the reason that it was the suggested reason why she was imprisoned was the fact that the authorities were scared that the details of the imminent D-Day landings might be revealed. Because obviously, given the revelation about the Barham, it was clear to see why the medium might be considered a potential risk. And nonetheless, the Prime Minister, who was then Winston Churchill, wrote to the Home Secretary branding the charge obsolete tomfoolery. It's quite a big word. So Helen was released from prison on the 22nd of September 1944, and she avoided further trouble basically until 1956, when the police raided yet another seance, this time in Nottingham even, on suspicion of fraudulent activity. No charges were brought about, however, and on the 6th of December 1956, the woman who is sometimes remembered as the last witch died. So it's quite a sad story, I suppose.
There's actually there's quite a lot to the story when when you really start to dig in about it. I've been reading some of the comments as well. Gillian says that if Chaos has just read one, he should be victim because he was afraid she would give up military secrets. It probably was Chaos. Sarah says she did. Okay, see you soon, Gillian. About the Barham. She told people at sales about the Barham is sunk. So this did catch the attention of, the Navy and what have you. There's PJ asking. One theory, PJ, was that when the ship sank, the government, the Department of Defence released 861 letters to the victims' families directly to them to inform them of the tragedy, but also asking them to keep it quiet. And one theory is that people in the families maybe told somebody else, kind of word of mouth, as somebody said earlier on, Chinese whispers, and the story got about. People started talking, even though it was meant to be a secret. And this is one theory of how Helen actually found out. We don't know this for real, whether that's true, but it is one theory. That's how she actually found out. Gillian said earlier on they didn't have anything on her, so they got her under the Witchcraft Act. Very possible. It's, they did examine her. As I said, Harry Price examined her, and he found quite a few inconsistencies in, the way she practiced her seances and the ectoplasm. But she also had a big following. So in my mind, and this is just my opinion, there must have been something there, for her to have this following. So I reckon that they couldn't exactly prove that she was 100% fraud, so they had to get her. They were determined to get her, and maybe they did just use the Witchcraft Act to, finally get her into court, basically. You think the police had better things to do? You can lead the horse to water, you can't make it drink. They were there of their own free will to see. Exactly, Mags, people went to see her of the roof. They weren't forced in any way. They wanted to go and see her, maybe hoping to get some kind of message for a loved one. I'm sure there was another comment I was looking for. Duncan shout almost certainly contributed to the repeal of the Witchcraft Act, which was contained in the throat. I think you're meaning, Nicole, obviously if he was in it, he would be committing fraud as well, I think. I'm not too sure about the Duncan side. I know he was quite supportive of her. But then again, did she have a gift? Did she have a small gift, as Nicole and a couple of you said earlier on? Was it money driven? Did they both see a way to make money through it, and just, get carried away, basically, as some mediums probably have. And so that would have took the focus off her actual real gift and just made her look like, a money-making fraud at the end of the day, when she actually wasn't. She was just simply a gifted woman who, get caught up in the money and the fame and the limelight, and the husband liked it as well. That's kind of my opinion. I think she definitely did have something, but what it was, we don't know. People think skeptics are so honest and would never tell a lie. You're right, Mag. You get a lot of skeptics that they would tell a lie if it made their story more convincing, basically, if that makes sense. Again, this is just my opinion on it. When it was the period the US government didn't want info released as it wasn't supposed to be anywhere around. As I say, Andy, there was 861 letters released, which my opinion was a bad idea. But also I was there back at the time. I would have thought that was just asking for trouble, because that's how they think that Helen found out. As I say, one theory of how she found out, because somebody told a friend or a neighbour, and that neighbour told another neighbour, and if you add it up, 861 people, and if even half of them tell somebody, and it doubles and doubles, and that's a lot of people finding out about something that's meant to be top secret. That's if it did happen that way. She was found to be in possession of a mocked-up HMS hat band as apparently related to a alleged manifest. I read that as well, Nicole. I meant to make a note of that one. She was found, she produced a hat band claiming it was supposed to be the spirit of a dead sailor on the Barham as well. She was gifted, but like these days it's all about show and earnings, I think. I think you're right, Nicole. That's just and I don't mean any disrespect to the woman or her memory. I think she get carried away. But then when she was at school, it doesn't actually tell you what her premonitions were. She used to alarm her fellow pupils with her premonitions. So maybe, you know, she did have a gift, and some of the things that she would say back in her school days were bang on, and this is what alarmed people and upset her mother as well. So I would agree with you on that one. I don't know what Sarah thinks, maybe if she's got the same opinion or not.
My opinion is similar to yours, Scott, yeah.
Descendants and supporters of Duncan are campaigning on several occasions to have his pardoned of witchcraft charges. Exactly, Nicole, as Gillian says, they couldn't get her on anything else because they couldn't prove 100% it was fraud. Basically 2001, 2008 and 2012. So basically they refused to pardon him. So they couldn't prove 100% in court it was fraud. In my opinion, they knew they wanted her. They wanted to see her in court. They wanted her convicted of something. For some reason, they wanted to take her credibility away from her. And so the Witchcraft Act, which covers a multitude of things, you know, they found something in there to get her into court with. Chances are no one would even know. Well, I'll be honest with you, Andy. She only came to our attention about 2 weeks ago. It was actually PJ Maxx that asked us to do a story on it as well, and we featured it on our Facebook page, and that's when she really came to our attention. Before that, if you'd asked me about a month ago who she was, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. But I think one thing I was thinking about was, you know, if she was gifted, whether it be slightly gifted or greatly gifted, with all these things going against her, did it shed some doubt on the rest of the paranormal world, on the rest of the mediums? There was a lot of them about, especially at that time. A lot of platform mediums as well were just coming to the fore back then. So did it spread, a lot of doubt on them? I don't believe an ectoplasm she was debunked, but she did know quite some info on people or things no one could know. That's what I'm saying, Nicole. Maybe she did have, a gift. I'm not denying that she was not psychic at all, but I think she probably just did get carried away. The more people came to see her, obviously the more money came in, and maybe she just got a wee bit too greedy and thought, how can I build on this? I'm going to start, try to elaborate on this and, bring different things, into the mix. I think we've got photographs I'm not sure Sarah dug them out, over with a couple of photographs that were taken over. And the ectoplasm.
Yeah, give me 5 minutes.
Oh, you're welcome, Max. You're welcome. We're always looking for new ideas and new stories, and anything to do with paranormal, anything at all. If there's anything else you want us to have a wee look into, then we'll gladly do it. As I said a few minutes back, what we've been saying tonight isn't our take on it. We're just going by what was read. But I have read quite a wee bit today, and I've formed my own opinion. Whether it's right or not, I don't know. But thanks for asking us to do it. I know of her because of shadows in the show. She did. I know Eddie. I know. Well, I forgot I was meant to do tarot reading tonight, Eddie. I forgot all about that. I'll do that in another live, my tarot reading, Eddie. Sorry, bro. That's the lady herself.
Yep.
There's other photos that shows you the dogs. I say dogs, it's the best way to describe them. So what do you think, guys? Do you think she was? That's one of them. If you look at that photograph, anybody looking at that photograph today, if you compare it to back then, people look at that photograph and think it's real, that's actually happening. But looking at that photograph today, knowing how far technologies came, in photography, etc. I know Steve and Andy and Eddie are already, and the rest is in the chat. He's probably know more about technology than I do. If we're looking at that photo, would you say that was real? To me, that looks like a big bit of cloth hanging from her nose. That was the other thing. She was also known to suffer quite a lot of nosebleeds, especially during seances. And this was put down to her having... Now, how she would have done it, I've got no idea. But this was put down to her having cheesecloth, stuffed up her nose prior to the seance as well. That looks as if it's coming for her nose, but how she would fit all that up her nose, I've got no idea. And I'm not going to try and guess. Now, there is another one where she's standing. It's a supposed spirit.
I'm having a look, Scott, but I'm not finding it.
I would say that's fake as well, Nicole. Definitely.
I did have all these pre-looked out, guys, but my hard drive's playing up, so...
Max, just drop us a wee... I was going to say drop us a letter. No, drop us a letter. Don't drop us a letter. I'll no find us. If there is anything you want us to have a dig about or do a live on, then, just drop a wee comment on our Facebook page or the YouTube. Sarah will tell you how we do it, just say, I'm thick as mince. And we'll certainly have a wee look into doing it. You don't fall into my genre that I will be dropping hints about for subject. Whatever, we'll have a look at anything within reason. Of course, obviously, there's a lot of guidelines and what have you. So, but drop us your suggestions and we'll certainly have a wee look at them. What's Andy saying? Technology. I hope to get qualified in that because I'll get my exam for that on Friday. I've been studying all day.
Was it that picture, Scott, you were talking about?
That's the one from when she done the seance 1941, when it was supposed to be the aunt or the sister of one of the lieutenants that attended it. It turned out to be Helen herself. This is what discovered it was Helen herself. They've done it. But there is another picture. See, I can't look it up here. We should have had it ready for you folks. I do apologise. I actually forgot all about it. Where she's sitting in a chair and there's it's supposed to represent a spectre beside her. She took medication because she has seizures as well and physical issues because she was a bit too much overweight.
I had some pictures looked out, Scott, but my hard drive's not working, so...
There it's there. Aye. That's the one. Now, obviously, at the time, many people believed that one to be real. But as you can clearly see, to me, that looks like a bed sheet with some kind of, it was a paper mache head. It was later revealed that she used. She got the white sheet, the paper mache head, and, you know, whatever that is, cloth or some kind of sheet hanging from her nose, basically. But that, if you look at it, that actually looks as if it's coming from her eyes. If you look at that picture, because you can clearly see her nose and mouth. There's nothing there. That looks as if it's coming out of her eyes. But then it goes all the way across her face. So, you know, we're not here to debunk her. We're just here to, you know, give you some facts and figures on it. Obviously, you know, make up your own mind, whatever you decide. We would like to know, what do you think about the photographs, real or fake? But obviously, back then, people were more, to say gullible, maybe using the wrong word. You know, maybe not be gullible, but they were more prone to believe in a lot of these mediums and seances. We ever thought about doing. I'm just getting my pad, Mags. I'm going to write that one down.
If you tune in to the show on Saturday, we're doing some Halloween superstitions from around the world.
We're always looking for different ideas, folks, you know, because obviously during the way things are just now, getting out and about and doing investigations is quite very restricted. And I think after Thursday it's going to get worse. I don't know about England, but I know up in Scotland it's going to get worse. We're going to name a street after in Scotland called Duncan Drive. I'm not sure, man. I can certainly find out for you. Oh, Sarah can look that up now. Yeah. As it's after Thursday, we think it's going to get a lot stricter, a lot tighter. And so we're always looking for, I know we have a lot of different guests on to do, you know, with our interviews, but we're always looking for different ideas to sort of mix it up a wee bit. So if anybody's got any suggestions, apart from Andy's there
was actually there was a new scheme getting developed in Calder, calendar even, and they were going to name it after her.
after him.
No, after her.
Oh, aye. You gotta say that. I think the picture's fake, but I think she had a need. I think you know, I think she did. The picture to me is definitely way fake, but she did have a need to get out there. I think she became kind of. It sounds bad. It's kind of fame hungry. You know, she saw this attention and she wanted it more and more, and she knew the more she kind of tried to make up for her shows or seances, whatever you might call them, the more people would come to her. But we can do, as I say, we can do superstitions. We're always looking for different ideas because Lord knows how long this is going to go on for, you know. So, and we want to keep these going on lives. We don't want to cover the same subjects over and over because I think it just ends up stale. if you keep doing the same thing. So that's how we're always trying to think of different things and different guests, because with different guests, as always, you get different opinions, different outlooks, different ways of working. So, it's part of investigating as well. I think, bringing different people in and, sort of picking their brain for an hour and a half to see what they do. Imagine a comment up there. I will tune in for sure. I'm doing a live on a channel doing them Friday with an American friend. If you drop us the name of the channel, Max, we'll certainly have a wee look.
Obviously, on Saturday, we're doing our Halloween spectacular. Which should be good. And for anybody that doesn't know what we're going to be doing, I shall show you the wee pro thing.
Excuse me for 2 seconds, folk. I think I can hear the wagon. Leave it to you, Sarah. Back in a minute. Okay. Sorry, folk.
So this is what we're going to be doing on Saturday. So we're going to have a games, we're going to have a quiz, some spooky stories, Halloween history, ghosts and ghouls, Halloween superstitions, Halloween from around the world. The panel will be dressing up, including me and Scott. So that will be a frightful night for you, if anything. And fun and laughs. I think that is. And it will start at 7 p.m. So that should be good. And hopefully we'll get some lovely people to join us up on panel. But of course, these have to be dressed up. That is one of the conditions that you need to be dressed up to come on panel. What theme song, Andy? So yes, Saturday should be quite good. We should be doing something Friday night as well. We're just in the planning stages of that at the moment though. But it should be good. Won't let me on panel. See, I only have my pages. Nicole, I'm sure you can think of something. Create a costume out of a black bag. I'm actually worried, Andy, what you're planning. Really worried. Hopefully Scott appears soon. That or he will appear behind me. I think I'm dressing up. I'll be doing as the crazy cat lady from The Simpsons, just a standard day from me. I'm only joking. If you don't want to dress up, you don't need to. I will be dressed up. Scott will be dressed up. Granny might even make an appearance. Since we all know that he's love #1 Scottish Granny. We need to see what our plans are though. You shall wear a warm hoodie, Nicole. That'll do. I hear that the hoodies are very warm. Steve has to go on panel too. Well, you never know, Nicole. I think we've lost Scott. Do not comb your hair, Nicole. Scott won't let me. Scott's never the boss. I'm the boss. Everybody should know that. I'm sure that you do look better with a brown paper bag over your head. Scott's having trouble getting back on. Oh dear. He probably has nipped to KFC and left me up here all by myself. Shocking. He'll appear behind that door in a minute, probably. That's what he tends to do. Scott is good at acting like a boss, though. Well, that's true, Freaky. He can act like a boss. Doesn't mean that he is the boss. I don't know what he's doing. I have no idea. Will Scott appear? That is the question, Nicole. That is the question. That explains the slapping sound I heard from Scott. Scott! A woman's place is in charge. Oh. Men think they're the boss, but they're so wrong. Scott's the boss, but I'm not in. Or at least that's what he tells himself. You missed the full story, Freaky. And I don't know where Scott's disappeared to. He's ran away. He's restarting his PC. It shouldn't be too long. Sugar. And I'm breaking the joint. Exactly, Nicole. Scott's astral projected out of here. He should be back. Should be. Sarah, go and help him. No. No, Steve. He can work it out himself. I'm sure he's quite capable. He needs to learn these things on his own. Well, hey, you're back.
Sorry, I don't know what I came back. I was fixing the wee and I came back in and my camera and everything was off. I tried to come back in and it just it let me back in, but the camera just wasn't working, so I had to unplug it and then that didn't work, so I had to turn my computer everything off and then try again. So apologies, folks. I don't know what happened there. As I say, they are on technology and I'm the best of pals.
I know I was rambling on, Scott, talking to myself.
The whole thing just went caputo. So apologies for that. What did I miss?
Not a lot.
Scott's going to KFC. So Helen Duncan. The other thing is, did she give the paranormal, a bad name, or what do you think? Did she help her? Or did she hinder it? Also, there must have been a lot of good things about her. A lot of what she said was true, but then the evidence that went against her getting taken to court. He said, "Hey, Freaky, thanks for coming in." What do you think? Sarah entertained us. I'm glad she did, Nicole, because I don't know what happened there.
I didn't really. I was just waffling. I was waffling on a load of rubbish.
Scott's power of peeing affects electronics. I was not in the bathroom, Mags. I was seeing the wee one. I came back in and I turned the camera back on and kaput, as they say. There be no bad publicity.
Scott, we were just talking about how I'm the boss and you're not.
With what?
Just in general.
I thought we were talking about Helen Duncan.
We were, but when you were away, we were talking about the fact that I'm the boss.
I mean, you were talking about the fact that you're the boss because I wasn't there.
Nah, that's what you think.
No, it's things that the paranormal get more interest since then actually everybody knows for fake photographs. You're probably right, Nicole. More people take an interest in the paranormal since her day, because obviously these stories about appearing in the press, so people are going to read it. People are going to want to know what's that about. If she's doing a seance, maybe in their town, whatever, they're going to want to go along and see it for themselves. Everybody would have been curious, So you're right there, PJ. Oh, wrong one. Sorry, that was the wrong one. I do believe Helen did have a gift, but ectoplasm and sealage behind the curtain was fake. Exactly, that's that's my reckoning on it now. Excuse me. That's that cigar I had. That's my reckoning. She did have a gift. Whether, to what extent, I don't know. But, she faked some stuff and that didn't do her any favours. We've always said in our lives, if you're going to fake it, don't do it. But obviously back then it was a different time, a different way of working and a whole different way of life back then. So yeah, I do believe she did have some kind of gift. And it's unfortunate that she found the need to fake things, as in the ectoplasm and the behind the curtain stuff. It was unfortunate. I think if she hadn't done that, if she hadn't been down that road, she would have been a major figure in the paranormal world back in the 1930s and 40s. I'm not saying that she wasn't, but I think she would have been even bigger, if that makes sense.
Exactly, Mags.
That's fine. Every man's worst fear when they hear it, says Mags. Well, Mags, I decide what time I'm going to do dishes at. I decide what time I'm going to do the Hoover. I decide what time. Freaky asked a question there. What time period? The time period is actually between the 1920s and 1940s kind of thing. And then World War II, started World War II as well. So that's a kind of time frame, Freaky. This is in a calendar gives rise to controversy even today, as those with strong knowledge believed to object to its public. I can see where you're coming from, Nicole. As I said, and a few people said in our lives that there's still members of the church out there who, and it's I'm not slagging off their beliefs, it's what they believe, that see the paranormal or anybody connected to the paranormal, whether it be a medium, an investigator, anything like that, they see us all as evil, as, Satan worshippers, whatever you want to call us. So I can see how putting a statue up and then, very religious people would have something to say about it. Stanley Smith Art Gallery. No, it's me, legend. I hear the words fine. I just say I'm not paying it short.
There you go, Scott. She was born in 1897 and died in 1956.
Yeah.
That's the time frame.
She started out reading tea leaves. I think because of the time she needed more money and the rest is history. It's a shame because I do think she had. Yeah, again, Mags, yeah, I do think she definitely did have a gift, but unfortunately, she went down a road that, even though a lot of mediums to this day go down, and it's the one that puts the whole paranormal world kind of into disrepute and gives a bad name. And the tea leaves, I've never actually got my head around the aspect of reading tea leaves. You know, I've watched some things on it, and I've never actually understood. I'm a coffee drinker as well, so that's maybe part of the reason as well. But no, she needed more money, and she saw the opportunity to make that money. Unfortunately, it involved deceiving people to a certain extent, and that's the way she went. I'm glad you picked the time, Scott, but I'm sure that coincides with Sarah's timeline. Strange, but I bet. It doesn't actually. I decide when I'm making Sarah's tea. Sarah doesn't always have to ask me for tea. Sometimes I'll just run in and make it, you know.
Sometimes, spontaneously, he does have his moments where he'll just bring me tea for no reason. Normally at points of time when I don't actually want tea, but I'll drink it to be polite, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. But then sometimes, Mags, you know, you're kind of, I know we're getting off topic here and I do apologise. Sometimes you're just kind of taken for granted, you know, in this life by certain people whose name begins with S. But, well, you know, I don't go there. I think I've said enough. Haven't I, Sarah?
That's enough, Scott. Stop blaming Steve for everything. For goodness sake.
Oh, this is one thing I'm not blaming Steve for. Good to know. I guess now my next question is 20th century freaky. Sorry. See, that shows you. I'll be honest with you, Max, it's something I know nothing about, you know, the old tea leaves. I've seen it getting done on TV and what have you, but I don't, and you know, I'm not ashamed to admit it, I don't have a Scooby about it. I really, really don't. It's never something I've been interested in. So I really could, but, you know, we can certainly try and do a wee live on it if somebody wants. We can look into it and find out more about it. I know Nicole's quite knowledgeable that way as well. She's saying it's tea leaving. I'm just looking at these comments. Honestly, Scott, I'd like to feel sorry for you, but
Scott, I've actually got a wee bit in my book about tea leaf reading.
Well, there you go, folks. Sarah, I know it's a wee bit off topic, but there's Sarah will tell you about reading the Tetleys.
I'm trying to find it. I know there's a bit about tea leaf reading in this book, but whether... Do you know what really confuses me though? See these people that can read all the lines in your hand and tell you all about your life. That confuses me.
I'm one of those people who likes to look at everything. I'm a bit of a nerd. Not at all, Max. I wouldn't say you're a nerd. You know, you're just I'm a bit like that myself. I like to kind of look at different things. I think you just focus on the one thing becomes quite boring. So, you know, there's many a nights, say screaming, I'll jump on YouTube and just look up random stuff, you know. Nothing pornographic or anything I want to just to add before Andy or Steve makes a comment about it. I'm just getting that right in there, or freaky as well. But I'll look up random stuff and just, you know, it's good to look at different things and, you know, educate your brain, you know. So I wouldn't say it's anything to do with being a nerd, it's just being inquisitive, which is a good thing.
So for tea leaf reading, Scott, it's fairly easy to learn, apparently. For best results, you have to use China tea, brewed in a pot without a strainer. And the tea is poured into a cup that should have a wide top and small base. Do not use a cup with any form or pattern on the inside. It could be very confusing. The subject should drink the tea, but leave sufficient in the bottom of the cup to distribute the leaves around the side when turned. Ask him or her to take hold of the handle and rotate the cup slowly 3 times clockwise, allowing the remains of the tea to come up to the rim of the cup and so to be distributed. Then she or he is to invert the cup completely on its saucer. I'm reading, by the way, guys, from... Where's my camera going? This book, in case you're wondering. Blah, blah, blah. And there's a whole section of it, basically tells you how to do it. It tells you a brief description of the interpretations. And the numerology that's...
I actually wouldn't even know where to start trying to do a live on that.
I don't know. We could, with Nicole's help, of course, look into it more and do a live that's all about divination. Mm-hmm. So it's like tarot readings and stuff, Scott, in case you didn't know.
I didn't know, actually.
Did you not?
That's what I'm saying. As much as we do this and we're into paranormal, but the paranormal and, tea leaves, the paranormal is that vast, and there's a lot of things come in to the paranormal, basically. Tea reading, tarot reading, and there's certain subjects it's not that you have anything against them or, people that do them. It's just certain subjects that you've never took an interest in, so you don't know anything about. Tea leaf reading being one of them. And supposed to say, I've never had tea leaves because I'm a coffee drinker, so.
See, I'm a tea drinker, but I prefer a Tetley tea bag to anything else. But
David tea bags, but just bust the tea bag.
I don't know.
I've got no idea. Dolls are freaky. Some dolls can freak out. I mean, not a lot freaks me out, but some of the dolls, especially the Annabelle doll, you look at that thing, you think, who would buy that for a child? You know what I mean? That's just disturbing, basically. That's just disturbing. Miles was saying she's quite sceptical. I'd say I'm quite sceptical as well, even though I believe, it's going to sound stupid, even though I believe 100% in the paranormal that there is life after here in some form. I'm still kind of, sceptical. I always like to keep an open mind on these things, a two-way street. So I'd say I'm kind of sceptical. Legends, etc. Yeah, there is quite a few legends that I've read and I'm interested in because they've all came from somewhere. They've originated from somewhere. So it's interesting to try and retrace back where the legend actually started and how it started and how it's changed from maybe it's 400 or 500 years to the present day. How that legend's changed because we were talking to a gentleman today and he was saying that, you get a story, it'll start off, same as a legend, and through time, with various different people telling it, different people tell it a different way, and so wee bits get added on. It's like today, gossip today, a wee bit gets added on, You could jam your thumb in a door, and 2 weeks later, somebody's telling your best pal that you broke your leg. It just goes on and on and on, basically. So I would say I'm quite sceptical. I think he's got. There is something, Miles, but I think we're, as a dead cheesy way to say it, we're all looking for that answer, basically. And maybe someday someone will come upon it, someone will find it, whether it's a photograph, an EVP, whatever it is, who knows? But I think that's part of the fun of doing what we do, because you're always looking for that answer, and it's a wee bit of excitement, if you get a wee capture or something like that. So no, there is something, but what is? That's a big, big question. I think Nicole said, oh no, it wasn't, it was you.
It was me.
Is that on? Was that on the tea bags?
Yes.
Right. On another stream, got some cool video of that. Some good, I felt yups.
Really, Nicole? Dolls made of their own hair. Oh.
What was that?
Did you know the way back, the rich people had dolls made with their own hair? That's why those kind of dolls tend to hold on to their energy. That's like me cutting this wee straggly bit off, whatever it is there, and putting it into a doll.
So I could try that.
Oh, aye, Scott.
I could do a doll and get with my shavings.
I'll just get this wee red curl that just doesn't seem to be wanting to go anywhere, right?
We could. So anyway, that's the story of Helen Duncan. As I said earlier on, we're not saying whether she was real or fake. I do think she had some kind of gift, but unfortunately she went down the kind of wrong road with it, and she ended up in court for it. I don't know what your opinions are. Is she real or fake? That's, and everything we've said tonight, as I said, in total respect to the lady and her memory, and all people who followed her back then, and maybe still give an interest in her today, like PJ does, So it was all done with total respect to the lady. I pick up a very old doll in a glass cabinet for a mate who's an antique dealer. I wouldn't have it in the house, stayed in the garage. He's a wuss. I mean, he's a big wuss. When you do a legend, you have to do some good research. I look at so many that it's told and try for a Middle Age ground in it. Yeah. You do need to do your research and find out, as much as you can. Actually, we could do a live on various legends one night, and you're welcome to come up on the panel, since that's your kind of, your field basically. Andy won't be coming up on the panel anyway because of that comment.
Me and Scott normally are a lot more researched than what we are, than what we've been even for this live. We've just been very busy the past few days.
It's been a mad couple of days with stuff going on. We were out today, and we're trying to get stuff done for, like, say, Halloween. We've got a lot coming up next week as well, which we're trying to organise, plus having the wee one. So, it's trying to fit everything in. But we did promise PG we were going to do a live on Helen Duncan, and we always kind of like to, stick to that. Because we really appreciate when people take notice of our lives or anything on our Facebook page and they want us to do something. So, so today it was a wee bit rushed, hands up. I'm not going to make any stupid excuses for it because I'll just end up looking like an arse anyway. But we sort of researched as best we could, and we hope it made some sense to you. I actually think I'm taking a ribbon here off of Andy for some reason. Let's ask what he was. Were you able to expand on the info that Shadows had? Oh, one thing Shadow said, Freaky, was about how Helen knew about the sinking of the Barham. And I don't know if you were in or not when I was saying that it turned out that there was 861 letters released by the Ministry of Defence, whoever it is, by the Navy, to all the families of the individuals that perished in it. And in the letter they asked the families to keep it secret, but they reckon that people started talking to the families, and this is how word gradually spread around, and this is how Helen found out about it. So that's one thing that we were able to kind of elaborate on, and we hope it made sense. You know,
like I said, there was a lot of big words, and I don't like big words. I get confused.
I like that, Scott. It would be fun. The only good thing about Legends is we get to have a good story or tale. That is right. But well, drop us a wee comment. We get. I don't actually know how we get in touch with you, or just Max. But if you drop us a wee comment on a Sarah will tell you about the commenting. You fire in, Sarah, tell about the commenting.
I've said if she contacts us on Facebook, we can arrange something. Or Instagram. We do have Twitter, but we hardly use it.
Andy will go on panel. He's been practicing for days, Scott, just to play a song for you. No. I'd say Andy's welcome up on panel anytime, maybe, but whether he wants to sing to, I've never had another man sing to me, and I think that would kind of freak me out a wee bit. So he can come up and smile at me. There you go. How's that? That'd be the next best. He can give me a smile and say a song. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah.
Do you even know what I said there?
No idea.
Andy wants to play a song for me.
Oh, he wants to serenade you. That's so nice.
But it says that it's a no. He can come up and he can give me a smile. Oh, what's the point? Never mind. So I think that's about it for tonight, folks. It's just a short one. But drop us a wee comment. Let us know how crap you think tonight was. We always welcome good and bad comments. We get some bad comments, but hey ho, that happens.
Another note to add before we go is that keep your eyes peeled on our YouTube channel either tonight. I'm going to hopefully get it up tonight or tomorrow morning for our interview with a local historian to me in Scott called Frank Beattie. It was quite an interesting chat. It was really good. We were there for about just over an hour with the guy. He's a retired journalist for the Kilmarnock Standard. That's what we love, Kilmarnock. So it was a kind of local newspaper. I think he'd been at it for about 40 years or something. And we met up with him a couple of weeks ago and we were talking about him. And the guy's he's a wealth of information, this guy. And you could sit and talk to him most of the day. The only reason we cut the interview short was because Barry was going to die. Basically, that was it, So that'll be getting loaded up tonight, probably tomorrow morning. Keep your eyes out for that. You're welcome, PJ. No problem. I'm glad you came in and you enjoyed it. Any more suggestions, just pop them in. Yes, Freaky, it was an interview, but it was a filmed interview. We didn't do it live because
the guy's circumstances, shall we say, it was impossible to do it as a live. So our only other option was to record it and then we'll pop onto YouTube. So the gentleman is retired and what have you. So just because of circumstances, it wasn't feasible to do it as a live. Thanks for coming in, Max. Anybody's got any more suggestions for us, pop them in. Andy, you can show me guitar once, that's all you're allowed. So I think that's us for tonight. We're back on Friday.
Yep.
With
something to do with Halloween.
Something to do with Halloween. We're not too sure because we're due an announcement here tomorrow, in fact. So we're not quite sure how that's going to go, whether that we've got something planned, but it depends on what's said tomorrow as to whether we can actually do it or not. But if we can't do it,
I'm sure the Scottish granny that you all love will pay you a visit on Friday.
no, Granny's on Sunday. Granny's doing her granny bingo
Yes.
thing on Sunday. Granny's I'll be the arrangements for Granny. She's out Friday, Saturday.
Right, okay. I'm sorry. Right, we'll do something on Friday.
I'm upset my mother. She's got plans, but she's got a date with the vicar. I mean,
Right, on that note, we're going to.
we will be doing something on Friday. So take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks very much for coming in, and stay safe wherever you are. So, bye.